Floor is yours.
Melinda, you're on.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Please log in on our app. You can download the Apple app at the App Store and the Google Play Store. We get credit as organized as an organization for sign-ins. And you can also later use the app to connect with people that are at the meeting today. Next slide, please. 1 Million Cups is about entrepreneurship, community, and education. Our mission is to lower obstacle of access to education, resources, and connections for all types of new and aspiring entrepreneurs. Next slide, right? Presentations, not pictures, authentic connections, not networking. It's run by the community for the community. Our culture is safe and supportive, all volunteer-led, comprehensive for organizers, presenters, and attendees. We advocate presenter pipeline together as a community. Our weekly event, we bring together entrepreneurs and Fairfax County community over coffee, tea, and conversations. 160 chapters meet around the country at the same time every Wednesday. We're a mastermind organization. We're not here to sharpshoot, and it's very safe and supportive. We ask that you please go to our Facebook page and share Facebook Live. The URL is IMC Fairfax for both Facebook and LinkedIn. Please provide feedback in our Zoom chat and share our content online. Next slide. We're here to help Danelle Johns, Jen Dalton, Tony Bennett, Myosha Mendes, John Yu, John Ruttenberg, Renetta Jones, Justin Wilson, Russ McIntosh, and myself. Our culture, our sponsors today are Office Evolution and also CC Solutions. Sylvia, are you here to say a few words about Office Evolution?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sylvia Ferguson, and I'm the Business Center Manager of Office Evolution Tyson's Corner. Office Evolution is a business center, and we have over 80 franchises, or even more. It's growing nationwide. We provide affordable private offices, co-working, conference rooms. We also have virtual services such as professional business address and phone services. So if you're an entrepreneur or a small business and you would like to learn more, please reach out to me. I'll put my information in the chat. I would love to, give you more information. So just reach out to us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Sylvia. And here for CCC today is Randy Bordelon.
Bordelon.
Sorry, Randy.
Okay. Good morning. It's a pleasure and honor to kind of fill in for John with this esteemed group. I'm Randy Bordelon with CCC Solutions. And one of the things about the CRM world, people think of CRM as, okay, that's where I put my contacts and for marketing and sales, and that part of the team is working those kind of things until we get some business. But actually, CRMs are becoming more sophisticated all the time and supporting more business functions than just sales and marketing. And just to speak briefly to that, one of those things is there are internal processes that you have for your operations. There's a certain cycle you have to perhaps track shipments, keep tabs on deliveries, installations, and follow-up. So those things are usually tracked by some kind of process funnel. Process funnels oftentimes used in marketing and sales, but can also be used in operations. So whatever you happen to be using for your customer relationship management probably has a feature for that. And if it doesn't, you might be looking to upgrade to a package it does. Of course, John and/or I would be glad to speak to you about what we have to offer at CCC Solutions. And thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you this morning.
Thank you, Randy. How our meeting works. John Yu is our moderator this month. And so please make sure that your mic is on mute before we start. And then to ask a question and participate, you unmute. Use the hand wave icon in the chat to announce to John that you have a question, or type your question into the chat box for John. When the moderator says your name, please unmute, or you can hold the spacebar down and talk. Say your name first and who you are with, and then ask your question or make your comment. When you're done, please put your mic back on and when you are finished. The other thing is keep your questions brief so that we can get as many people in as possible, and that's how we do it. The next thing, I want to welcome Shiley Hackamon from Social Media Sherpa. She's our speaker this week, and she brings clients' reputations online. She bridges the gap between networking and social media. Let's welcome Shiley.
Hello. I get a wave. I'm going to just send a wave to everybody. Hi. Oh, I love it, Tony. I love it. Hi, Tom. Hi, Rosemary. Hello. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. Oh, I got my challenge question here. Great. I actually spent a lot of time in DC. I got flown out like to DC to lobby like 4 or 5 times within like a year or 2 period. It was absolutely nuts. So it's a wonderful metropolitan area. So it's great to be able to chime in here today. So my question has to do with what's the best way to grow and structure and scale my business for long-term growth and for my own enjoyment and positivity in my life. And you'll hear more about how I structure currently, and I'd love your insights. I'm with yoursocialmediasherpa.com. That is my world, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. You can go to the next slide, please. So here's a little bit of background here. I told you I lobbied in DC, and one of the things I lobbied for was anti-bullying legislation, because me and probably many of you have experienced bullying and how awful it can be. And I don't feel like me as a person knew how to make friends till I was in high school. And the weird medium in which I learned to make friends was MySpace. I don't know if we have any MySpacers in the house, but I missed that platform. It was my joy because oh, Tony, I see it. MySpace was my home. It was where I met my nerdy friends who also liked the shows Big Brother and Survivor. And it was where I actually, as a 15-year-old, managed an online community of these fans. And it was life-changing. I didn't know it was life-changing till I was applying for a position at a digital agency. And they're like, Shiley, have you ever managed online communities before? And this was a social media position on my chance at my first paid social media job. And I was like, wait, all I did was on MySpace was early social media skills. There's something to this. And so I started doing social media as a freelancer, and it was good. And I was promoting myself. I eventually found the BNI community. Anyone been to BNI before? I'm sure potentially in this crowd. Yeah, I see Melinda's nodding her head. And I went to this BNI group, and I was at this chapter for a long time, and people got to know me. They knew that I was good at social media, but they weren't really prepared or the right audience to spend $4,000 or $5,000 a month on marketing. It wasn't the right thing for them. And one of the people that got to know me in that chapter comes up to me, and she's like, Shiley, I know that you know a lot about social media. I don't know if I want to hire you to do my social media. Can I just hire you to sit down with me and show me how to do it myself? And I was like, wait a second. Like Mayosha I saw earlier, I'm also in education, and I studied education at Indiana University. I love motivating and empowering people to show off their amazingness. And I love working one-on-one. I was like, Shiley, this is your perfect gig. And from then on, my focus and my work has been helping people get clarity and accountability doing their own marketing. I help them be unforgettable to their network. And just like Amanda that I worked with, that first client, I made sure that, oh yes, thank you. I make sure that it's easy to navigate the abyss of information out there on social media. Do this, do that. A lot of people, and maybe some of you in here too, throw spaghetti on the wall and hope that something's gonna work. But if a lot of you are as seasoned as I think you are and running your own business, a lot of times the best way to get new business is from repeat clients and referral clients. Yet people are doing their marketing in a completely different way that doesn't take that into account. So what I do is I help bridge the knowledge and your expertise of the work that you're already doing and connect it to the work you're doing with your own marketing. I guide you on how to put out the right information so that you're educating your clients digitally the same way that you already probably do on your sales calls. As that I make sure that when your clients and your leads Google you, that you are guilty as charged for being the perfect person for the job that you do. And that's a big piece of it, is that it's not teaching you how to be a social media manager. It's teaching you how to use the skills you already possess to really stay in touch with people and to remind them that they need you before they maybe even realize they need you. It's a little bit about what I do. But one of the other things is that I bridge the gap between you, the business owner, and your marketing team, is that your marketer needs some creativity and we need to get the info from your brain to their hands. And that's what I help people do, is bridge that communication. Next slide, please. So let's see. So there's a lot of different industries that I serve, and I think we even have some of these in the house. It's a wide range from real estate, some mortgage brokers, chiropractors, to CPAs, financial planners. These are all industries. Some of these industries are the ones I worked with. So it's a very big range. The people that I work with are usually very good connectors. They already have a network and people know them for what they do. They haven't in themselves, and we talked about CRMs a minute ago, they haven't figured out a system to make sure that people think about them on a regular basis. And that's what I help them do. You can go to the next slide, please. And also too, the other thing that I will say, yes, they're all solo kind of service-based businesses, or they have a small team that needs some training. This is where I'm looking for some help and support. Currently, the way that I structure my business is through, I start with a video review. Sometimes they purchase that alone. Sometimes it's a video review plus an onboarding session, which is really where I get them mindset shift and how to think of their marketing the same way they think of their business development. And then ideally, I'd like them to commit to 3 months, because I think it takes that long to really shift your efforts. And even better, I've had people and past clients at a recent event I hosted for my clients say maybe it would be good to have a year-long process of getting support, including potentially 30-minute calls that they can get as a group every single month. So I'm looking to see how to structure that for most relevancy in a way that I can actually enjoy producing. There's a lot of options for me there. That's a little taste of what my process looks like. Next slide, please. Oh, this is my challenge question again. I always want to leave folks with a few tips. If you are a teacher like me, you know that positive reinforcement is really important. So if someone engages with your content, thank them, because when you tell them thank you for liking your content, they want to make you smile more, and they're going to do it more often. And that is a big part. And I see my time is up here. That is a big part of what keeps them coming back. I also say that if you are on LinkedIn, your profile matters. So make sure that you have a great banner image that shows you in the best light and like tells people that you are a solution to a problem they probably didn't even know they had. I give away my favorite LinkedIn profile inspirations on my website. Thank you so much for having me. And back to my question here, how do I best structure this business to scale and to structure for long-term growth in a way that I love? And other questions are, I'm looking for introductions to potentially business consultants who have a large batch of clients that they need to coach on social media, chambers of commerce, Rotary clubs, and beyond. And also speaking to high school and college students on how to leverage LinkedIn for their career advancement. That's a little taste for me. I'm also growing my sales processes. Thank you so much for having me today. And I am looking forward to hearing your questions and comments. Feel free to write them in the chat so we can be efficient as possible. Feel free to jump in, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Shiley, for that highly energetic presentation.
Thank you.
So we're now going to move to a more interactive and fun and engagement segment of our meeting. During this segment, for some of you who may be new, you have the opportunity to help answer Shiley's challenge questions that's in front of you through a Q&A and giving her your feedback. So before we get started, I want to go over some few ground rules. First one is that, this is not a Shark Tank, so please be nice and be respectful to each other. If you have a feedback to Shiley, please virtually raise your hand, and by clicking on the hand icon or chat your question or comments in, and I will get through them as much as I can. No one person will dominate the conversation, so please keep your questions short and brief. And Shiley, also, if you can respond to those questions in a brief manner so we can get through as many as possible. And lastly, when I call on you, please state your name and your business so that we know who you are. So with that, let me see who. All right, so it looks like Tony has a question.
Go
Tony.
for it, Tony.
Okay, good morning, Shayla. Yes, again, very energetic presentation. Thank you. I think you broke the record for getting it done in the right time. One of the things I was thinking about when I was looking at your deck last night, putting the thing together today, was you're doing one-on-ones, but for scaling, have you thought about doing classes and doing and teaching in a classroom environment, since you are a teacher, you have a teaching background, where you basically do it as kind of like a cross networking and classroom environment where you're teaching a whole room full of business owners and solopreneurs how to do all this, and at the same time networking them together and coaching them on how to do networking.
Ooh, interesting. I appreciate that. I definitely feel like a lot of my clients are already really good networkers. So this is where it's already sort of happening. I'm doing 3 months of this where I have like a networking portion for 30 minutes with my past clients. And then I'm giving them 30 minutes of like coaching, which was potentially scalable as an ongoing course. I also teach at the University of Chicago as an ongoing course. So I've been employed also. That's like one small piece of my pie here. So I have that already. But a live course is actually, it's an interesting idea. I really appreciate that of like, oh yeah, I could do that. I like, yes, but yes, that's an interesting thought. Thank you, Tony. I'm thinking on it.
All right.
Who else?
Thanks, Tony, for that. Next is Melinda.
Melinda, we've been talking all the time. My coach over here. Yes.
Okay, I held one back from you. Sororities and fraternities.
Yes.
You could get in through Panhellenic and through the National Panhellenic Interfraternities Organization for Men, and you can get college level as well as after college, but you could also be a keynote speaker at their annual conventions. Things like that.
My intern, actually 2 of my interns are in Greek life, and I learned a ton from you, and I'm going to be on a podcast this afternoon with a guy that's a speaker booker for universities. So this all kind of came about as we were developing my presentation today. So I think that's a great idea. And I'm actively pursuing these options. So that's great. Thank you. I've learned so much from you. Tom had a question. Should I jump into that, John?
Yeah, Tom, if you can state what you do and then maybe say your comment.
So I saw you had a question about realtors. I can just jump in too. I lost my notes. So with realtors, go for it.
What I said was I'm a realtor and I really wanted to talk to her offline, but I'd like to understand what she can do for realtors. I'm sure it's a much longer conversation than what we have time for here, even though she talks very fast.
I know it's goals. Like I've been very careful trying to slow down my speech. So it is progress. Here's the thing with realtors, and this will actually apply to a lot of businesses, is that everything I teach is not platform dependent. It's a mindset around social media that links what you're already good at. Now, real estate agents, your job is to go out and connect and meet people and talk to everybody and get in front of folks. And there's a million real estate agents. I know here we have so many. And so what it's going to come down to is like, first off, like, do you know what you're talking about? Do you have a specialized area? And can people connect with you? You're not just a real estate agent. You don't just hire a real estate agent or just a lawyer. You hire someone that you can connect with. What I find that real estate agents are missing is like the biggest ones, they have a persona and a personality, but like as simple as, and this any one of you can do, is like, tell me your story about how you got jazzed into what you're doing. The story I told is I can go for 5 minutes. I can go for 20 minutes. It's putting that story out there and giving the information that your ideal clients need. I'm sure, and you can tell me, Tom, you have probably the common questions that you get asked all the time. And I wonder, do you have those answers in places where your clients are going to look you up and see them? That is I think real estate agents have the most opportunity there, because your people might not need a house today, but their friend needs a house, or they might need a house in 2 years. You need to find a way to stay in touch with them. So when they're ready to have you, they remember that you are the expert because you're the one feeding them content and knowledge, and that you're somebody that they can relate to and trust. That is the preview of that conversation. I have full-length YouTube videos available for the public online, but we can definitely connect a bit more on LinkedIn and chat.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Great.
That's more conversation than I've had with anybody in 3 years on this 1MC.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for choosing now to chime in and to get some support, and I'm cheering you on.
Awesome. Thank you. Next, we have Marnie, if you can state what you do. And then after that, we'll go to Eleanor.
Hi, how are you? Thank you
Hi,
for
Elle.
the presentation. This was great. And I don't know if you live in Chicago, but my favorite place ever. So yeah. So what I wanted to say, and I put it in the chat just for reference, is I think it would help me, and maybe I think Craig mentioned the same thing, that if we can, well, obviously everyone needs social media. If there's an industry you're particularly fond of working with, and then talking about how we can maybe scale within that industry might help, because everyone needs social media, right? And so to help everyone is hard.
No, I do not help everybody, for sure. I don't play to the marketers. Like I don't exist in the marketing space. I am completely independent from that. I really love speaking to communities like 1 Million Cups, where there's entrepreneurs and people who are actually doing the grind, just like everyone here. So those are some great, I know that when I'm in front of them, like people who see me, like they know if I'm their person, and then they reach out. So usually it's getting more in front of audiences like this, of people who are going out there and doing the thing. But that's where I've gotten a lot of folks, is BNI groups, chambers of commerce. So it isn't a specific, like this is a person, but the people who go to networking events, who are good connectors, who when they pick up the phone, people will pick up. Those are the people that I serve. Can I say it's like one industry? I don't know, but I talked to someone who has a chiropractor podcast, and I've had a few people who are chiropractors connect with me. I've had quite a bunch of real estate agents. But am I playing that game? I don't know. I have someone who does law firms, and she wants me to do workshops for all these women who have their small law firms, there's only people that charge, like, I don't know, the minimum that they're going to get from a marketing agency is $5,000 to $10,000 a month, which is not where they're at, and they don't need it, and they have the capacity to do some of it themselves. So that's a market that I'm looking into. But yeah, high schools and colleges for LinkedIn trainings, I find that there's not a lot of people doing it, and not a lot of people doing it with the energy that I bring to it. So, and in helping young people feel confident to share what makes them wonderful. I love doing that. So that's a little bit of some ideas, but I wrote this down. It's an interesting question. Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Next, we have Eleanor.
Good morning. I'm on the West Coast, so it's super early. So hopefully I make sense. But I loved your presentation. I'm Ellie Goldstein, LLC, and I actually do live video coaching. So my suggestion, so I work with a lot of coaches, and we talk a lot about scalability. We talk a lot about long-term growth. My first suggestion would be really getting clear on what your income goal is each month or year. Break that down into steps, and then figure out, okay, that's this many one-to-one clients, that's this many group at this rate. And then the best way to scale, I have found, for coaches is get some VAs, get some good virtual assistants. You may already have this.
I'm working on it. That's actually a big goal of mine. So please, I'm learning so much.
It took me a while to realize that I could take things off my plate that I didn't need to be doing everything, and then focus on what I was skilled at. So that would be a great way to scale, because I think a lot of times it's easy to think, okay, get this course or this, but it's like,
no,
if you have a VA, it can help so much.
So I appreciate this. If I'm learning to outsource, so just having interns, I'm like, oh my gosh, they can do things. What do I do? Like, what are some things that you like to outsource for your people or yourself?
Yeah, so for example, one big thing for me is client appreciation, gifts, and cards. So I just had
Nice.
my VA send out like a Valentine's Day campaign, and she sent like 500 people a card, and then a couple of, I think like 25 clients also some cookies. So it
Wow.
was kind of like a show them some love type of thing.
Mhm.
But I didn't have to do anything. I just told her what I wanted and gave her access to that service and
Nice.
got done. So
I love that. Yes, it's a goal. That's a great thing. I've been wanting to do that. I actually just outsourced my FAQ page. I have a writer that I'm working with, and I'm so excited. So I'm like, I'm getting the practice in. I'm getting my reps. Thank you, Eleanor. That was very
you're
helpful.
welcome.
All right, very cool. Next, I think we have Craig. Do you have a question or comment?
Yeah.
Chat it in your comments, but if you would like to
Oh,
say,
interesting. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah. Okay.
would you care
Yeah,
to
it's
elaborate,
just
please?
it's on the same vein of like not trying to boil the entire ocean, so focusing on industries that would get the most benefit from your effort. So
For
you know.
sure. That's good. I mean, it's
And then
right.
like, do
Yeah.
you have resonance with? So like for me, I decided that I have a resonance with graphic designers and creative types, and then startups. So instead of trying to like sell to everybody that's a potential customer, I'm going to try to focus on them and get, the messaging for them dialed in before I grow bigger, kind of thing. So
Interesting. Getting the message
yeah,
boiled in.
dialed in. Yeah. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Point.
Yeah, I'm writing
Yeah.
notes. I have all the questions I want to keep track of, and I
I
do
think
follow
maybe
up
the
later.
theme that might be emerging is perhaps the focus, which I think all the business, applicable to all the businesses.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially for startups, right? I mean, if you get big enough, you can start saying, okay, I got a branch of this and a branch of that and a business line for this and a business line for that. But for right now, it's like trying to solve one.
Yeah, and there is a demographic that I serve that is very specific. That is, I don't know if the word traditional is, but it's like, the people that show up to like groups, or the people that everyone knows as the local town real estate, mortgage broker, whatever it is. Like those are the people that nobody's talking to them. I feel like in terms of marketing in an accessible way. So that's something that I find is interesting. I see we have some new folks who haven't shared yet.
Yeah, I
Questions?
see. Rosemary, do you have a question or feedback?
I do. So Shiley, first of all, thanks for your very energetic and skilled conversation this morning. It's great to learn a little bit about what you're bringing to the business environment. Your challenge question is very interesting. You're not asking to fill the top of your funnel. You're asking how to structure for long-term growth.
I'm a marketer. I know how to market. My LinkedIn is popping. I didn't mention it here, but my LinkedIn is awesome. But
so
yes.
Here's my question to you. You had talked about thinking about holding group sessions, and
yeah,
sounds like you create videos. So obviously what you want to do is make a lot more of you available for a lot more people. What I've seen work really well for coaches is paid retreats, 1, 2, or 3 days, depending on what you're doing, so that you might condense what you're teaching into an hour, a morning, an afternoon, a weekend, and really going deep and intense, and then connecting everybody who signs up. And we can talk offline about some of the ones that I've been to that have been really successful that way. Regardless of pandemic or not, if you want to reach people that aren't in your local environment, there are still great things that have come from these virtual meetings. And then I don't know how you're staying. Okay, so sorry, John, I blew your say who you are and what your business is. I'm Rosemary Savino. I'm COO of Gravitate. We are actually a collaboration platform for business professionals. So I don't know how you're communicating with your clients right now. And we can certainly talk more offline, but having the capability of managing and harnessing all of those messages and chats and files and events that you want to share with your group. That's obviously it's something we do, so it's top of mind.
Yeah.
But having a scalable tool at your, email is not a scalable tool, because even, you can go with an infinite amount of VAs, you're going to miss emails. So, whether it's Gravitate or another tool, you might want to work or have one of your interns work on finding the types of tools that allow you to scale, whether it's a CRM, an ERP.
I have one. I have a CRM and I have ActiveCampaign to do CRM and email marketing and
Right. So
systems automation.
That's a broadcast, but you want to have a collaboration as well. So
Interesting.
yeah, so I'll put some notes in the chat, but I would think about a collaboration platform just as a way of scaling, multi-hour, multi-day retreats or webinars. This is, you know what I mean? It'll take a lot of work to get the first one up, but then after that, it's repeatable for a low investment on your side. And of course, others, I'm sure, will tell you want to make sure you charge for that so people show up.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of free webinars out there.
And people don't come. I know.
That's true. Oh, interesting. That's actually really great insight. One of my clients is like a LinkedIn influencer, and I help her coach 200 consultants on how to get more clients on LinkedIn. And she does webinar. And I think one of her higher level program also has some webinar components to it. But I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. Can I do this? What's going to happen? So this is interesting. And to charge for them rather than everyone's like giving it away for free. Interesting. I appreciate that. Is there some other folks in here?
Yeah, thanks, Rosemary. Melinda, do you have a comment or question?
Yes.
One of the other really easy industries for you to go after are trade shows. I'd go over to McCormick. I'd go down to Navy Pier. They publish lists of all the companies that are coming in for trade shows. A lot of them, when they have a trade show, they have a big networking event. And if you could be a speaker before that, letting people know the types of things and the best ways to network and just be able to talk business and be focused on their message, that probably would be really helpful. There are lists, your business journal, the Chicago Business Journal also publishes a book of lists, which all the journals do. And that will give you lists of all the trade shows coming into town.
Interesting. This is interesting, like finding lists and like doing some sort of outreach. That's actually something I can reveal is that I've been doing this for a long time. I haven't done a lot of cold outreach, like pretty much zero. Everything has been inbound for the most part. So that is something that I have explored and I am a little nervous about. I probably need to try at some point, but I know that that's a valuable thing that a lot of people use. So it's interesting to think about. Yeah, some of them even charge for those kind of slots too, which is interesting. I think the small business conference or whatever, they charge people to give those speeches ahead of time. It's very interesting. Some of them don't. So
the Chicagoland Chamber does a big event every year too, where you should have a trade show booth and you should be meeting people there and be a speaker for them at the event.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melinda. All right, let me see if there's anyone.
Oh, this is a great question from Devin.
Devin, could you please state your questions? And could you let us know what you do and then state your questions, please?
I like this question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Hello, my name's Devin. I'm a UI UX designer.
Oh, I love you.
And do product management. So my question was, what does your business look like at scale? How many clients is that? And what kind of clients is that? Because I think those are kind of, important things for me to kind of understand.
Oof, great questions. Oh, I love that. I should ask myself that because I love the idea of like having at least an hour a day dedicated to like working with someone one-on-one, an hour or two every day. And I think that's kind of fun. Some weeks it happens, some weeks it doesn't. That's kind of fun. That's an interesting one. I like the idea of training people's social media managers. Is that some people know they have to do it and they have someone doing it, but the social media manager is actually great at their job, but the leader hasn't told them what to do. And that makes a huge difference. And I find that like marketers who've worked corporate, they don't understand that mindset of like, I can't just hire someone to do this for me. And they often don't know why they're hiring the person and they don't give them any direction and they lose. So part of what I like is that when there's somebody there that execute who's already good at like doing the social media, I can give them clarity so that they can make their boss or whatever like shine. And I love being that bridge. So those kind of clients are really nice. But it's interesting. Yeah, what are you gonna say?
So you're saying like you want to your vision is to have like maybe contractors underneath you that will go out, maybe you have a course and then they'll go out and kind of teach your course to clients and stuff like that, because you know, go ahead.
Oh no, I meant I want to train my clients' team. I like doing it myself at the moment, but who knows?
You want to do it yourself. That's what I'm saying, because
TBD.
At scale,
right?
When you say you want to scale, that means you want more of you. So if you just do it yourself, it's not going to really scale.
Right. That's a question, right? Do I run my business I've done some math tutoring in my day, and I'm like, do I run it like a tutoring business? Is that going to make it more accessible? That is a question I have, where I have other people doing this, which could be impactful. But do I want that to be my battle? That's my other question too. Which is the part.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be hard to scale.
Me,
because you only have 24 hours in a day.
Right.
So it's that's the only thing.
It's a good
especially
question.
Especially social media, because it's such a time intensive thing. It takes a long time to turn around, and it has a lot of different factors involved with data and looking at the users of the client.
Oh, that's not me. I don't do the nitty gritty. So I'm the step before.
It takes a long time to turn around results in the business.
Sure.
So it's gonna be, so you're not just dealing with your time of spending with each client, but then you're spending a long time with each client. So it's really hard for you to scale. So that's the question. That's kind of
100% true.
The roadblock you might be facing with just doing it yourself.
You're right. Yeah. I appreciate that, Devin. That is really helpful.
Yeah, but one last thing, my father, he's a quality consultant. He works with a government client. He works with a contractor. A contractor gives him a course, and then he goes out to government clients the contractor contracts with, and then he teaches it to other people. So how to improve their business and stuff like that. So that's a good way to maybe scale, is just have other people teach a course that is solid to maybe bring me more clients. That's one last thing I wanted to say.
It's interesting. Yeah, I haven't built it, but I know I could. I have some things in my head of yeah.
You know how to do it. Yeah.
It's true. I have like a curriculum, it's like one piece of paper, but it should give a lot of people a lot of clarity on their marketing, but it's not a full course, and it is a whole other battle to do courses, but there's some perks to it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting industry. Thank you, Devin.
Right. Wow, thanks, Devin. Just looking through this chat here. Thanks, Rosemary, for summarizing your feedback, your chat here.
Oh yeah, I want to.
And then Melinda, thanks for chatting in your comments. Do you have any other additional questions or comments that you want to state to Shirley?
Actually, the other low-hanging fruit in Chicago are nonprofits. You've got a gazillion, and they need to figure out what their voice is, as well as get their voice out. And there may be some ways. Nonprofits also have a board of directors, and they get together usually for one big board meeting a year. And you would be a great keynote speaker for something like that.
It's funny you say that. I just talked to an organization. I think it's like a for-profit-y nonprofit thing. And they're like, we need our staff to be trained on social media. And we need you to come in. But they didn't know what they needed to be trained on. And they're like, oh yeah, we just need it. I'm like, well, you're going to waste 40 people's time if you bring them into a session that isn't relevant for them. And then they also have board members who aren't talking about their organizations online. So I know there's a whole other area for that. A lot of my social media at the beginning was a nonprofit, but that's a whole other can of worms. I also did get hired to help with Zoom for a nonprofit last fall. That was a fun contract. And that was a really good time to help them with their kind of gala virtually. So there's
actually Zoom is another good one for you, because people need Zoom training, and part of their audience that they're reaching is on Zoom, and keeping your message succinct and being
Oh,
able to
yeah.
do the right kinds of things.
I'm going to put a thing in the chat. I made a document of really interesting ways that people can make connections using like Zoom and Zoom alternatives. Like one of them is called Toucan Events, where it feels like a real life networking event where you could be chatting with other people while a presentation's happening, and you can be in like little squads and just like you would at a real life event where you're in different parts of the room talking to different people. I put a link. It's in that document, and they have a networking event every Thursday at 2 Central, 3 Eastern, and it's super fun and a great alternative to Zoom. Especially when people come to events, they want to mix and mingle, and not every event has that built in. So I'm with you on that. Zoom is a tricky one, and how do you engage people on Zoom, especially with a nonprofit? Is that, like I said earlier, like you message people and you DM them, direct message them on Zoom, and you can build a relationship with them. And I was urging that nonprofit to do that because they have their biggest donors in the house. So what better than sending them some personalized love, or just like we heard earlier with the gifts, like there's a lot of nice things you can do for people when you know how to leverage the tools for great conversation.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let me look through some chat.
Okay,
anyone else?
Oh, there's always more nuggets.
Yeah. It's a good conversation so far.
Yeah, and the other angle too, and I'm sure there's some people in here with a great angle of like, I learned from another 1MC group that like I should write down my sales process. So I kind of have it written down, but it's not totally set yet. I find that like I have leads, like I think people come here and they're like, I need leads and I need business. I'm like, I'm sure I'll take more business, sure. But like my thing is like, I have people coming in and I want to make sure that I get them through the best experience and that one that I can enjoy too. And so that's where I'm like thinking about the structure of my service is that I want them to sign up for a year and I want them to know that I'm going to be by their side, and I do like voice messages in between our sessions, and I want them to know that it's like that there's a long chunk of time, and I think they understand that, but I think having access to me in some way over a longer period of time might be helpful, but I'm not sure if I have the words and the numbers to structure that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so looks like, Tony, you have one more question. Please, Tony, go ahead.
So, Shiley, after listening to all the feedback and all the other information and the things that you've also done on the side and working in the background is flesh things out. Quick question.
Please.
Is there an official certification for a social media person? Social media expert?
Yeah, but like there's people who are freelancers, like you can get like a HubSpot certification and all that stuff, but like my people, they don't care about all this marketing mumbo jumbo industry. Like they're not dealing with the agencies, like, and like I don't find that as like maybe it would be helpful, but like I don't think that's what people are asking me. They want me to name their problem and to guide them on how to solve that problem, and it's a very specific one. And like I find that there's a lot of people out of touch. Yeah.
Here's my thought process with this.
Please.
One of our former presenters was a teacher who then started doing, tutoring. And she was in such demand, what she realized that she was better off creating a team of tutors and running the tutoring organization.
Yeah.
And from everything, your experience and everything else you've encompassed, I think what you might want to do as far as scaling is be the Sherpa that's starting to train and coach the new Sherpas who can then go out there, and then you set them up as your trainers to go out and then feed out to all the others. But you create a certification, a social media Sherpa certification, that then what they can do, you can market and brand as this is a certified social media person, which then gives a business owner some degree of confidence in what they're doing. But then what you do is you start bringing on employees who you then charge others to go out and train and do the hand holding and do the conferences and do the meetings. And then you're the queen bee of the whole operation. Because that's the way you scale the whole operation is you start creating the infrastructure around you so that others can start doing what you're doing. And then what you're doing is you're then providing them with employment as you're training them and coaching them to do what you do. And it might start off small, but then, with 3 or 4 people, but then you start growing it. And as there becomes more demand and you have more and more people starting to reach out to you, then it starts becoming an exponential organization. And then you can franchise it, and you can franchise it to other cities. to do
Interesting.
the same exact thing, and then more revenue for you, because ultimately the goal is lots and lots and lots of revenue.
Revenue, but also like I want to impact these people. That's a big thing. I want the best for my peeps. But yeah, that is a way to do it, like getting other people in and teaching. And I've thought about it because one of my clients, they have this really interesting model of like on-demand business consulting, and you could literally buy time on their calendar as soon as a few hours from now. And it's like, they're going to help you with all this stuff. But I also find that like that's a whole other can of worms, is putting pricing on the internet. And I don't put my prices online. I'd rather share them privately or my packages privately, but there's a lot of angles there of like, okay, there's a lot of people that need help with social media. Would it help if it was like transparent and it was like abundant? Like if I had like maybe someone who, could do my strategy, but also knows a bit about Instagram, but I don't know. It's like a whole other battle. And I'm like, am I ready to handle working with a lot of people? It's hard. Having a lot of people to work with, and I'm nervous that that might not be a hard battle. Also, like, running training programs, like I hate doing that, and I could outsource like we learned earlier. But I hate, that's not my point of strength. My point of strength is talking. And the other option, right, is if I go out and I speak more and I can take them through a process after a speaking engagement or something, rather, like that's also a thing, but that also I could have other people do that too. So like my zone of genius is the talking, is the motivating, but I also know I'm just one, like you all have been saying. So this is interesting.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you, Shaylee, for sharing your business and highly relevant challenge question for your business. So whether you're social media guru or selling donuts, scaling business and structuring in a way that grows is very relevant for all of our businesses. It has been our tradition that our last question goes to our very own Donnell Johns. So let me turn it over to Donnell. Donnell, all right. Donnell's not here. Okay. So let me turn it over to Dan.
He's in a meeting. He was in a meeting, so he said earlier.
All right.
I know. Heartbreaking.
Actually, the question that Donnell would ask is, what can we do for you as 1 Million Cups?
If you see something that you like that I post on LinkedIn, if you like and comment, that is a very kind thing, and I always appreciate that. If you have a gut instinct, you're like, I don't know if this is right, but Shiley might be the person that you should connect with. I would love to know, and I'm happy to send people resources as a way for them to figure out their own social media processes. That is something that I appreciate. If you do have a chamber or Rotary or something rather that is looking for a speaker, I am open to discussing what that can look like. That is great. Just keep up the good. I have a closing quote that I like to leave after every one of my presentations, and it's this, and this is the epitome of what I believe in social media, and I wish I had written this quote myself, but social media is about the people, not about your business. Provide for the people, and the people will provide for you.
Fantastic. So with that, let me turn it back to Melinda.
Great. Next week, our speaker is Shield Pals, and they are a personal protection face shield with heart, hoping to help with compassion and humor. Next slide, please. Next Thursday is our big celebration, and we have been sending emails out, invitations out, and if you know anybody that you want to invite, please share the information with them. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll tell you a little bit more about it next week, and we're putting things into the emails that we're sending out right now. Next slide, please. Upcoming speakers. We have Bloom Catch on March 3rd. They have an app so that you can identify plants, and they actually are building a big database for people that want to go to florists and local landscapers or garden centers and other things like that. The rest of March is open, so we're looking for speakers. If you haven't presented yet, please consider being a speaker. You can put an application in through our 1 Million Cups website. The other thing too, please talk to any of the leaders. We can help you with that, and we would love to have you there. Next slide, please. Upcoming events. Russ, I saw you get on the call. Could you tell us a little bit about what you posted?
Yeah, so later on this afternoon, at 2 o'clock to 3:15, our very own Jen Dalton will be the speaker for the Central Fairfax Chamber of Commerce Young Professionals meeting today. She's going to be talking about designing a reputation that breaks through the noise. Jen is amazing, help getting your business together. The CFC Young Professionals is open to everybody, young at heart. And then tomorrow we have Thursday, February 18th from 12 to 1 is at Mason Enterprise Center. They're having a tax webinar for small businesses, entrepreneurs. This is part one of a 3-part series, I believe. And it's a free webinar. Definitely good to update your knowledge with with basic taxes going on. And then also on the 23rd of next week, Tuesday, the Dulles Chamber is having a what to look for in a business coach. Everybody needs help and advice, and that's going to be going through the Dulles Chamber of Commerce. It's a virtual workshop. And then on the 23rd as well, from 4 to 5:15 is the WBC franchise ownership. This workshop is made possible by the contribution and time and expertise of a CBP volunteer. That's from the Fairfax County EDA. Is Linda here to talk more about that? They usually have great events through the EDA. That's all I've got right now for events.
Karen, do you have any events that you can share with us that are coming up? She may have stepped away. Does anybody else have anything that they want to share that's coming up?
Well, as far as with the EDA, if you go to the Fairfax County EDA and go to their calendar, right now, there is a lot of training going on for government contracting, both for security clearances, for doing business with the government and with the state. So if it's something that you're interested in breaking into, by all means, go ahead and sign up. Most of their classes are free or sponsored by somebody else. In the occasion where there is a fee, it's usually small, like 20, 25 bucks at the most.
Thanks, Tony. Next slide, please. Want to thank everybody for coming today. We know that entrepreneurship is a lonely journey, and what we hope that we are doing is by putting all the entrepreneurs in one room, it gives you an opportunity to open doors with other people that are of the same mindset. We meet every Wednesday, the same time, 8:45, and we hope to see you next week. Next slide, please. The Kauffman Foundation is our parent company, and they are setting up 1 Million Cups chapters all around the country. And it's good to be part of a great organization like them. Hope you guys can all come to our get together next Thursday, our celebration of 3 years. And thank you for coming. See you guys soon. And if you want to hang out for a little bit to network, you can do that.
Okay, it's a very talkative crowd today.
Yeah. John, you didn't talk. You always
I know.
do.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'll say a little distracted today, but Shiley, I got to tell you, what you're doing is awesome. One of the things I meant to bring it up earlier is, have you done any kind of surveys as far as the people that you've helped?
A little bit. I've done testimonial calls where I also get feedback.
I'm just thinking as far as surveys, potentially because and I think Tony brought this up, was the idea to me, from what it sounds like to me, where you would really, your strength would be out with organizations and helping create more of yourself, because I think particularly now with COVID and where we are right now and everything being so online, the demand and need for what you're doing is, I think, is huge. And so then the question is which group of those people, and we talked a little bit about going back to focus, is which group of people are you going to be the greatest benefit to? What is it you bring, to bring? I think figuring that out is where you're going to, from a growth standpoint, strategic growth, that's what will help get you there, I think.
Yeah. I think like if I've like my whole thing is I put myself out there on LinkedIn with people that have experienced me in some capacity. Most of my followers we've had a conversation, they see me speak. But the other part is that I know that there's like lots of large events. There's so many people trying, like there's events where people who I can serve are going to show up and they can